The Middle East is on edge again, more volatile than it has ever been. For years, Iran and Israel have existed in a state of quiet hostility, shadow wars, covert sabotage, and calculated restraint. That restraint is now gone. Strikes are being carried out in the open. Responses come within hours. The world is beginning to grasp what military analysts have warned about for years. This is no longer a contained rivalry. This is something far more dangerous. The spark came from a single military decision. Israel launched a direct strike against a high-value installation on Iranian soil. Tel Aviv framed it as a necessary move, a preemptive action to neutralize a growing threat before it could materialize. Tehran saw it differently, a violation of sovereignty, an act of war. In Iranian military thinking, silence in the face of aggression is not restraint, it is weakness, and weakness invites more aggression. The response was not a matter of if, it was only a matter of when and how large. Iran's answer came in waves. Ballistic missiles first, then long-range drones, launched in near-simultaneous streams. The targets were not random. Israel's most critical urban and economic centers were in the crosshairs, with Tel Aviv sitting at the top of that list. The financial core, the tech sector, the pulse of the country's civilian infrastructure. Iran was not sending a warning, it was sending a message written in fire. When the first missiles crossed into Israeli airspace, the early warning network lit up instantly. Sirens tore through the night. Cities that had been quiet moments before erupted into motion. Citizens had seconds, not minutes, seconds to process what was happening, seconds to move, seconds to make decisions that could determine whether they survived the night. Israel's civil defense architecture had been built and refined over decades. Every urban district had protocols. Every modern residential block had a reinforced shelter. But infrastructure alone cannot absorb the psychological weight of a mass missile strike. The pressure civilians face isn't just physical, it's the compression of time itself. Parents grabbing children in the dark, elderly residents being carried down stairwells, families leaving behind everything, running in whatever they had on, all of them with a single unspoken objective: reach shelter before the sky falls. And children, looking up at their parents in the dark, began asking questions no adult could answer. High above the chaos, Israel's layered air defense network came fully online. The Iron Dome engaged first, tracking and targeting short-range threats. Interceptor missiles were fired in rapid succession. The night sky became a canvas of mid-air explosions, each detonation a brief, violent flash of light as an incoming projectile was destroyed kilometers above the ground. Metal debris rained down, still glowing, trailing smoke. But no defense system, regardless of how advanced, is without limits. Saturation is the enemy of interception. When the volume of incoming threats exceeds the system's response capacity, some missiles get through, some always do. On the ground below, the impact was immediate and visible. Buildings bore the scars of near-miss shockwaves, fractured facades, shattered glass across entire floors, structural damage that would take months to assess. Streets that are normally crowded well past midnight sat completely empty. Tel Aviv, a city renowned for its energy and nightlife, had gone silent before 9 p.m. Emergency teams moved through cordoned districts. Craters marked intersections where roads had been smooth hours before. For residents, the damage ran deeper than concrete and glass. Families had relocated into shelters for the second or third time in recent memory. Schools stayed closed. Shops that did open were half empty, their owners uncertain whether to stay or leave. Sleep had become a luxury. Every distant sound triggered a flinch. War was no longer something that happened somewhere else, reported on a screen. It was the sound outside the window. It was the vibration in the walls. But Iran's operation did not stop at Israel's borders. American military installations across the broader region were also targeted. The strategic intent was transparent. Iran was signaling that this conflict had no ceiling, and that outside powers with a presence in the region were not untouchable. Several bases sustained damage to radar installations and communications infrastructure. Most remained fully operational, but the message had already been delivered. Military analysts quickly shifted their focus to what Iran's arsenal is truly capable of. The country maintains one of the most extensive missile stockpiles in the region, with long-range systems capable of reaching targets across almost the entire Middle East. Among the most alarming developments, Iran's ongoing work on hypersonic missile technology, weapons that travel at extreme velocity, compressing the already thin window for detection and interception to near nothing. The strategic concept drawing the most concern is the saturation strike. The logic is brutal in its simplicity. First, deploy a large volume of low-cost drones, not to destroy, but to exhaust. Radar systems are overwhelmed. Interceptor stockpiles begin to deplete. Defense operators are stretched across hundreds of simultaneous targets. Then, once the shield is weakened, the primary strike arrives. Higher yield, more precise, and far harder to stop. The question hanging over every intelligence briefing, every emergency session, every private conversation between world leaders is the same. Does this stop here, or does it keep going? If the escalation continues, the consequences will not stay regional. Oil markets are already reacting. Supply chains that run through the Gulf are under renewed scrutiny. Global economic systems, built on the assumption of Middle Eastern stability, are beginning to price in the possibility that stability is no longer guaranteed. Diplomatic channels remain open, just barely. Back-channel communications are ongoing, but on the ground, every military branch in the region remains at maximum readiness. One miscalculation, one strike that goes further than intended, one decision made in a moment of pressure, and the entire situation shifts into something no one has a plan for. The Middle East has reached another defining moment. The world is not just watching this time, the world is waiting and quietly hoping that what comes next isn't worse than what has already begun.